This is the Culture Study Podcast, and I'm Anne Helen Peterson.
I'm Ifeoma Ozoma, and I'm the eldest daughter of an eldest daughter of an eldest daughter. Oh, and the mom of an only daughter.
So, the genesis of this is that Melody and I were riffing on the new Taylor Swift album, and we were like, Eldest Daughter, what a disappointment. And some people really like it. But anyway, we both thought, what a disappointment. There was a lot of potential there because I'm an eldest daughter and Melody is an eldest daughter. And we have been, I think, surrounded, more recently by a lot of eldest daughter discourse, memes, Instagram accounts, posts, just generally. And if we were going to do an episode, though, I wanted to have this intersection, which I see as eldest daughter to the eldest daughter power, which is immigrant eldest daughter. So I said on Instagram, okay, who should I have be my co-host? And you DM'd me and were like, hello. So what are your eldest daughter credentials?
Oh my goodness. So I am the eldest daughter of two of an eldest daughter from Nigeria who was the eldest of 8. And who is also the eldest daughter of an eldest daughter.
Wow. So. Eldest daughter lineage. And I think that actually, there's something going on there. I'm the eldest daughter of a middle daughter.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. The way that I've seen it play out in my family, at least, is because of my grandmother's experience being the eldest daughter. She had fewer kids, yes, which still resulted in 8. And then because of my mom's experience as an eldest daughter, she had fewer kids, which resulted in 2. Yeah. And now I have a daughter who is 2, and I don't plan on having more kids.
That's the end.
The end.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit, too, about who can be an eldest daughter. You know, I think it's somewhat similar to, being a dad. People can have the qualities of dadism without being a person who identifies as a dad, right? Who is a father. But we're also going to interrogate, is this something, is this a crutch that we make up to sometimes explain behaviors? We're going to go all over the place. But what do you think that we're talking about when we talk about eldest daughters?
For me, and for when I think of my friend group, because many of my friends, and this episode made me look at all of my friend groups from college, yep, from boarding school, my friend group now, my mom group. And most of my friends happen to be eldest daughters as well.
Same.
And I think a lot of it is just, it's the parentification that we experienced or that society expects us to have experienced.
Yes.
And then I don't think this will be too controversial to say, the victimization that some of us have taken on with that label of eldest daughter and everything that comes with it. I've had, interestingly, a sort of different experience than some of my friends, especially from college and in my mom group now, because I went to boarding school. Yeah. So being gone and away from home for high school meant that I couldn't be relied on for a lot of the parentification that I think, even though my mom wanted to do better and different than her mom did, she still likely would have defaulted to if I was physically there.
How do you think being an immigrant grafts onto this, especially a first or second generation immigrant?
Yes. So my parents moved from Nigeria to Alaska, which is just so random, but also not, because there are a lot of Nigerians in Alaska because they're everywhere. Yeah. And that, I think, changed her experience in being the eldest daughter, because she was no longer physically there to be relied on for absolutely everything. And that's the version of my mom as eldest daughter that I experienced, which is why I think, and one of the earliest, I debated sharing this or not, one of the most painful earliest experiences that I remember, or memories that I have with my mom was I think I was 7 or 8 or something. I did something and she, in anger, called me selfish.
Mm,
And
yeah.
she immediately felt bad about it. I felt bad about it. But I think even though she wanted to be different and to show different, she
Mhm.
still had all of these expectations from her experience growing up as an eldest daughter that she, even though she hadn't articulated them, she still had them for me
Right.
as expectations. And I didn't feel any of that. My personality and just like what my experience with her was, not seeing her be
Mhm.
the eldest daughter because she was the only one in her family who was in Alaska at that time. I didn't feel responsible for my youngest sister. Like, why would I feel responsible for her? Why would I feel like I needed to do anything other than what I was explicitly told?
Mhm.
And that has stuck with me because I still don't feel the burden that some of my friends do who are eldest daughters and the victimization, I think, which is a little bit harsh to use, but I do think there's a little bit of that
Mhm.
that people use when they have the chip on their shoulder around being eldest daughter.
Yeah.
But I just have not felt that.
Yeah, there are so many things too that can lead to parentification, and what we mean by that is, like, being forced to act in ways that are more associated with being a parent when you are not a parent, right? When you are oftentimes too young to take on those responsibilities. And sometimes that parentification is the result of having your parents not be able to communicate very effectively with the other adults that you are interacting with in your life. So, like, you become the primary point of interaction with, like, your teachers, say, like a translator, or like when you go to the store, or when you have to negotiate benefits with the state. Like, there's all sorts of ways that you can take on this role. And I think that at least a lot of people in my DMs who are talking about their experience as an immigrant eldest daughter were bringing up that part too, like just having to take on that role early.
And I've seen that a lot with a number of my friends. And my experience is a little bit different
Hmm.
because my parents' first or second language, I guess, or third language,
Yeah.
one of the three that they had was English, and they grew up with English. And so it wasn't that as much, or even navigating school because my mom was a teacher.
Yeah.
And so she was really good at that part. But I think the first part of what you said is where I felt it, even when she didn't necessarily mean to. And it was a lot of the time in interactions with my dad because
Mm.
I ended up being an emotional support that I definitely shouldn't have been
Hmm.
in that trio because my sister wasn't old enough to serve in that role.
Hmm.
And I think where there was, and I love my mom so much, she passed when I was a sophomore in college,
Mm.
and I miss her dearly. But I think where there was tension in our relationship, it was my constant rejection of authority and her as an authority figure specifically
Yeah.
that she just had so much trouble with because her eldest daughter upbringing was obedience
Right.
and silence and being agreeable, and I was the opposite of all of those things.
That is so interesting because I think eldest daughter-ness can show up in a lot of different ways, and this isn't always acknowledged, that sometimes it's oppositional. Or someone like, and I think we have a question about this, like someone like passes the mantle of eldest daughter-ness. And then sometimes it's very much, I was not oppositional. I'll just say that. And I wasn't like, I didn't have super high standards leveraged like on me by my parents in any way. I built them myself. And then also wanted to, like, be in that caregiving position, and then just, like, taking on a lot of responsibility and being, like, the project manager and all these different ways, and I think that project manager piece of this is something we're gonna talk about a lot, and I think also why eldest daughters magnetize to other eldest daughters. I
Oh,
will.
that's absolutely correct. I What I look for first and foremost in friendships is competence.
Yeah.
Like, are
Totally.
you competent? Like, even if you're not going to be the one who manages the project, because not every project needs to be PM'd by multiple people,
Yeah.
and most shouldn't be.
Yeah.
The thing I look for is if you are handed a task, can you complete it without tons of instruction?
Yeah.
And it's been a funny point of conversation recently with friends, with my mom group friends, because we've
Yeah.
been talking a lot about that, and the lamentations we have about being heterosexual and what that looks like in our partnerships
Uh-huh.
with men while having children.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I do think that that's a whole other puzzle piece of this. Hopefully we can get to it. So our questions go across the board. We're going to talk some about the memes and the tropes. We're going to talk about performing femininity. We're going to process our own feelings. It's a lot. And we're going to try to cover as much as we can. This first question comes from Ray.
Are the eldest daughter traits actually real based on scientific studies, or is it more like astrology, something that can help us feel known and have a sense of belonging, but doesn't actually cause personality traits? Please don't come for me, astrology folks.
Well, first of all, Melody found us a study that she sent both of us, an actual scientific study. We will link to it in the show notes. And this, I think, points more to like the extreme parentification. So the study showed that if someone experiences high levels of stress during her pregnancy and she gives birth to a daughter, that daughter tends to go through puberty earlier than daughters born elsewhere in the birth order. And the same hormonal effect does not occur in firstborn sons. So basically, the thesis is like when we're talking about evolution, those firstborn daughters would mature earlier and be able to help their mothers, those stressed mothers, with the other children from a young age. And again, we'll link to the study in the show notes.
For me, and going back to the question, I think it's somewhere in between. I'm not an astrology girly. I know that I'm a Virgo and I'm a double Virgo, whatever that means. So that, on top of being the eldest daughter of an eldest daughter of an eldest daughter, I'm sure has had some impact on the way I move through the world. But from what I've read as well, in addition to the study that Melody shared, uh, birth order isn't the biggest factor in the way people turn out, but it's one of many. And
Yeah.
so I think it's hard to say unless you're looking at an individual family. But I will say, I don't think it's a total coincidence, like we discussed earlier, that many of the folks who I and you and Melody gravitate to are also eldest daughters.
Yeah.
And whether that's socialization or biology, who knows?
Yeah, no, totally. Like, I don't think there's anything prescriptive about being an eldest daughter, but there are things like, oh, you didn't have an older sibling, and like the person you modeled yourself on, the like direct modeling in many cases was your mom.
Yep.
And that's why I was talking with my friends before this because I was confirming that in my extended college friend group, there is one youngest, one baby. And everyone else, we're talking like 13, 14 women, all of the rest of them are eldest daughters.
That's
Even
the exact same for my friend group, because I was thinking through just now, and yeah, there's one, but she still acts like she's the most on paper and in life successful of all of us. And
yeah.
so she is the eldest daughter ish.
Yeah. Yeah. And this one she's she's the eldest daughter of I think three brothers, the only baby in the friend group. And she like that also still the person that you model yourself on in terms of femininity is still your mom. Um and I was wondering, I was like, what's going on here? Like, is it just like my college? Did my college attract eldest daughters? Like, I don't know. I do think to some extent there are institutions that attract a certain type of like view and self propulsion. Does that make sense?
No, that makes complete sense. When I think about where I went to boarding school and then where
Yeah.
I went to college, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It makes sense that we all self-selected into those schools.
But also class intersects with all of this, right?
Absolutely.
I think that a middle class or lower middle class, like those eldest daughters are on a certain trajectory. And then when you get to rich people, maybe all of this falls apart.
I think also one of the things that I read about class and the intersection it has is the wealthier your parents are, the fewer kids there usually are. Not in all
Yeah.
cases, but usually.
Yeah.
And then the fewer responsibilities you have as a kid
Yeah.
in a family
Yeah.
if your parents can hire the caregivers and whoever else for the roles that in a poor family you would be expected to take up.
Yeah.
And so, in that stage of life, as a minor, you have fewer responsibilities.
Yep.
And then in a richer family, when you're an adult and you're in the sandwich that all three of us are in
Mm-hmm.
at this stage of our lives, usually, hopefully, there's estate planning and whatever else that's taken care of your parents. And then you've also been given enough money that and your siblings have as well, that you're not stepping in the ways that I see some of my first and second generation friends who are eldest daughters are having to step in to financially support younger siblings as
Mm-hmm.
well as their kids
Yep.
and their parents.
Yep. 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 Yeah. This is so huge, right? Like when you don't have the generational wealth in place, you then also, like, whatever wealth you amass yourself is drawn on by anyone else who needs that wealth. And that becomes more important if you are the eldest or take on the eldest role. Today's episode is brought to you by OneSkin. So the other day, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, I just need to like get into skincare, basically." And this person, I'll say, was in their 30s and has beautiful skin, but just hasn't like done much with the routine and is getting to that age where they're like, I just need to think about this a little bit more. And I legitimately recommended to her to use OneSkin lotion because it is such a great entry point for people who are just trying to figure out like what works for my skin. It's really gentle. I love the like basic moisturizing lotion and I also love the eye cream. It's just a really good place to start if you're trying to figure out your own routine, and I use it every day. So here's what makes OneSkin work. They have this patented OS1 peptide. This is the first ingredient proven to target senescent cells, which are the root cause of wrinkles, crepiness, loss of elasticity. I think of this as all of the things when I wake up that make me look like I'm still asleep. I put on my lotion and I no longer look like that. OneSkin is certified safe for sensitive skin. That's part of why I like to recommend it to people who are trying to figure something out. And their products are free from over 1,500 harsh or irritating ingredients. They're also dermatologist tested and have been awarded the National Eczema Association Seal of Acceptance. They're also designed to layer seamlessly. So if, like me, you put on a little tinted sunscreen afterwards, it's perfect foundation for that. OneSkin also just launched their nightly rewind gift set, which adds the perfect touch of luxury to your gift list. It's the ultimate upgrade to any nightly ritual. It includes the best-selling face moisturizer, that's the one I recommend, and the brand new peptide lip mask and a sculpting gua sha tool. So each element is designed to work together as your body enters its natural nightly repair mode. It helps to renew skin at the cellular level for a stronger and smoother complexion. For a limited time, you can try OneSkin for 15% off using code CULTURE at oneskin.co/culture. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them that we sent you. Today's episode is sponsored by Blueland. I'm not having a huge holiday situation going on at my house this year, but I am having people over, like my mom, my brother, and as much as I can kind of like be who I am, I also need to clean the bathroom. If you two are doing this work right now, maybe you don't want it to smell like really strong chemicals or like you've, I don't know, bleached the entire house and everyone should exit it for the next 2 days. If that is not your vibe, I'm here to recommend Blueland. Blueland products meet the highest standard of clean. They're effective yet gentle on people and the planet. Blueland was recently named an EPA Safer Choice Partner of the Year. They have cleaning sprays. I really love the cleaning spray. It's not too harsh. Again, it doesn't make me feel like I'm poisoning myself when I use it. A toilet bowl cleaner that I love. You just put the little tablet in there. They also have dishwasher and laundry detergent tablets, and their formulas are 100% microplastic free. The thing that I really love is that you are not buying a new bottle every time that you do it. You just buy the refills and you plop the refill in there and a little bit of water, and then you're doing it again. It's just great. Blueland also has these new hand soap scents. I've been using Wintry Pine. It actually, I really love it. It makes it feel very festive in my house. And it's also a great gift to someone. Like, you don't have to give them the huge thing of leaking soap. You just give them the tablet, and it comes with an accompanying, actually very nice glass dispenser. And then they can just keep using that. And right now, Blueland has a special offer for our listeners. You can get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/culture. You won't want to miss this. Blueland.com/culture for 15% off. That's blueland.com/culture to get 15% off. We should talk about eldest sons, though. So this next question comes from Aubrey.
Are eldest daughters quantifiably more relied upon than eldest sons? Are they more likely caregivers, higher achieving, etc.? I've noticed in my Korean culture that sons were raised to provide financial support, but it seems like a lot of the daughters then provide the caregiving. I am an eldest daughter, and I definitely feel called to be the one my parents rely on for life.
What do you think about this? I think it also there's something to do with like whether you are an eldest daughter of brothers or an eldest daughter of sisters.
I think that's exactly right. I didn't grow up with brothers, and so I can't speak to that, but I can speak to what I observed in my mom's family. And I think in this way, Korean and Nigerian culture are not totally different in country. So in
Yeah.
South Korea, in Nigeria, where the difference I've seen shows up is once folks emigrate and then being in the US, the expectation for my mom was, even though she was a public school teacher, that she made more money and so she should be supporting everyone anyway. So not only did she have the financial expectation because she was the oldest, because she was the one who moved away first, but then there was also the expectation that she still be doing all of the project management of people's emotional states and where they are, and even at a certain point, their immigration process, because she was then expected to sponsor everyone in her family because she was the first one.
Wow.
And so I think if she had an older brother who had moved to the US first, he may have been asked to do a lot of the financial stuff, but that didn't exist. And so she was expected to do both in a way that I've seen in other Nigerian families and other immigrant families that I know, where the eldest son is asked to do the financial, but not really asked to do the caregiving as well.
Right. And so much of this has to do with like the feminization of caregiving, or the fact that a lot of times caregiving, especially elder care, requires dropping out of or significantly reducing your hours in the workforce. And that's something that like we don't ask of men as a society. And that's true when it's caregiving, when talking about children or we're talking about adults, like it really doesn't shift. One thing I've seen is that in situations where there is a lot of like in-home caregiving that's necessary, if it has to fall on a son and the son is married to a woman, then
It's the son's wife.
yeah, the son's
Yep.
wife takes on that labor, right? So it's actually like the wife becomes eldest daughtered.
Yep. It's misogyny is the answer to all of this and why this is even a thing. And that's also why I think there's been some trolling on the other side of the folks who use the eldest daughter label. But the reason why people connect with that and connect with the quote unquote struggle of it and the universality of it is because the experience is so common of being the eldest daughter in a family or in a community and being expected to do absolutely everything because of misogyny.
Yeah, and like the statistics do not lie about who takes on the responsibility of elder care. It is daughters, and it is almost always the eldest daughter who takes on like the lead role in it. And I think especially as we age and that becomes more of a question, and also something that like I think as a society we're negotiating as boomers, that like boomers live so much longer, so the question of how long and how many resources it takes to manage that sort of care, it's significant. And so that I think is part like we're seeing that negotiation of elder care refracted into eldest daughter discourse and its ubiquity. This gets into the victimization question that you brought up earlier. This question comes from Cassie.
The Eldest Daughter Discourse has come across my feeds mostly as a convenient way for fairly well-off white women to claim that they too have endured great suffering and therefore are equally worthy of praise and sympathy as others who grew up in difficult situations. Yes, it is an experience shared by many growing up, but so are so many things that are actually more determinative of personality and success. It feels like there is a nefarious but unspoken layer of white supremacy culture and white feminism in the eldest daughter discourse. Am I reading too much into it, or are there reasons to be concerned with how quickly it is being embraced by a certain type of white woman?
What?
Sheesh, that sounds like white business, which I don't have any place in. Um, but it definitely tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'll say as well though is that to the extent that I know of wealthy white women, and I am friends with some of them, they have struggles too.
Yeah.
And so, and they have expectations that are put on them that aren't put on their brothers. And so
Yeah.
I think it's fair to complain and cry about it. I do think though that there's a very particular immigrant experience for being an eldest daughter
Yeah.
that is different, and that I don't want to denigrate anyone or all of the people, certainly, who are using the eldest daughter label to try to articulate what they have experienced.
Yes. And it's interesting the way that I have seen eldest daughter discourse most vividly manifest has been on Instagram, and like the account that I follow that's like, I don't know, eldest daughter memes or something like that. Like I think it's just, but it's definitely it's not a white lady. I'll say that. And the expression of the things that are difficult, it's not the same as like an upper middle class white lady who's like, oh, it's just hard being a perfectionist, right? Like that there is a difference, but I take the point.
I will say even, and when I think of anything, I think of reality television because obviously, and all of the things that I consume. But even so, for a show like Shameless, which isn't reality TV, and they're not rich, but what's her name? Fiona Gallagher, the
Mhm.
eldest daughter in that show, is left with so many responsibilities and so much guilt because
Yeah.
she didn't ask to be born, but her siblings also didn't, her youngest siblings. And so she fills the gap that neither of her parents are able to.
Mhm.
But even for someone who is from a very wealthy family, like the ballerina lady, farm lady, fake farm lady,
Yeah.
um, her kids, I don't feel much for her, but I do feel for her eldest daughters.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching what show? Welcome to Plathville. I watch trash, absolute trash, all of it. But when I see those families that have resources, lots of
Yeah.
resources, when the people I connect to the most on those shows are the eldest daughters in those families, because no matter what they have access to, they
Mhm.
are still tasked with so much more than any child should be.
Yes.
And so I think that part of the experience is absolutely universal.
Yeah, gosh, we got so many questions about like Essentially, like, how this manifests downstream too, like, if you're, I don't know, like, a big gathering, like, all of the eldest daughter cousins in the family are the ones who are like, "Okay, let's project manage this gathering," whereas, like, the eldest sons, it's like, show up? Like, just the different standards of performance of this sort of labor.
Yeah, and in my experience, because I am the antagonist in so many family situations, and I felt completely released of any sort of performance after my mom died. It meant just cutting off some of the family that had held those expectations,
Yeah.
where the fight turned into my mom didn't even expect this of me,
Mm,
so how dare you?
right,
Like, I'm not
right.
doing this. I don't feel any responsibility to you guys, and so I'm not going to show up. Where I fully believe if I were the eldest son, they wouldn't have had those expectations. And so then we would still have a familial relationship
Mhm.
because there wouldn't have been the occasion for a blow up over me not fulfilling whatever nonsense list they had.
Yeah. And it gets so naturalized too. Just traditions and family like there's just so many ways in which these types of dynamics just become like the way we do things that it's oftentimes I think someone complaining about it on social media or glomming to the eldest daughter discourse is a way their way of being like the way that we have naturalized this, the way that my family, the way that I have like normalized this in my life. I don't like it and I don't know what else to do about it. So, okay, middle daughters. We got to hear from some middle daughters. We got a lot of questions from eldest daughters, so I thought we got to give a little bit of voice to middle daughters. This is from Christine, and Melody's going to read it.
As a middle daughter, I have a hard time understanding the whole eldest daughter discourse, as it feels like a classic eldest daughter move. Every birth order comes with its own challenges and privileges, so why does this one get so much focus? From my perspective, eldest daughter discourse often sounds like a sense of entitlement, expecting special treatment simply for being the oldest and self sacrificing. I just don't get it, especially since much of it feels self imposed and often comes with an unwillingness to ask for or accept help. Maybe this is just my middle child need for fairness talking, but I cannot help wondering if the narrative overlooks how everyone else in the family is shaped by those same dynamics. I guess my question is eldest daughter syndrome actually a thing, or is it something eldest daughters are claiming for themselves in an effort to remind us, again, how hard they have it?
I mean, this is part of eldest daughter-ness, right? Is martyrdom.
Absolutely, which is why I talked about victimization, because I do think for my friends who have decided that it is their job to be the project manager of their family, to be the financial advisor and the bank and whatever else for their family, because they're the eldest daughter, there is some of what this middle child is
Yep.
describing.
Yep.
in you've taken on the job, and so now you want credit for it, and you're upset, and you are externalizing your anger on your siblings sometimes, who
Mhm.
didn't ask you to do any of this, and sometimes are offering help because of the anger you actually feel towards your parents, who are the ones who put you in this position in the first place. As someone who has rejected authority from the beginning, I have not felt this martyrdom because I've never made myself a martyr. I don't believe in that personally, but I've seen it with friends, and I've had to have some of those tough conversations, just asking them, like, why are you doing this? Who are
Mm.
you doing this for? If it's for yourself, like, go ahead, but then it's harder to hear you cry about it constantly if you're choosing to do this repeatedly.
And this is where some of the like parentification dynamics come into work too, because if you saw your mom doing this and you picked up like if your model of femininity was something that your mom did in terms of martyrdom, like this is more like a parental dynamic even than a sibling dynamic. But even
Absolutely.
yeah, like that idea that you have to do everything and only you can do it right. I do see this intersecting with eldest daughter-ness, for sure.
Oh, I saw the martyrdom with my mom,
Mm.
even though she was living very far, literally across the world from her family. And I think, if anything, that is what made me decide absolutely not. Like, this is insane. Why are you
Yeah,
doing all of this
right.
for these people who don't even appreciate it?
Mm. And then I maybe too the martyrdom, and I see this with motherhood too, is related to lack of power. You have to take on all this work to show that you are working. Like, how do you show that your work is valuable? You have to make it really heavy. You have to do all of it. You can't
Yeah.
distribute the work, whether by paying people to do it or like asking for help, right? Like, you have to suffer in order for that work to be validated. And that's perverse logic. It's living in patriarchy, is living with that logic undergirding a lot of the way that we react to things.
Yes, absolutely. And also, I think where this question is valid is for some of my friends, the suffering is a kink almost. Like
Totally.
they've gotten they have
Yes.
gotten
Yes.
so much of their identity and self-worth
Yes.
from being the person who always shows up for everyone and does everything
Yep.
that they don't know who they would be without being the eldest daughter martyr.
Yes. Totally. Yes. It's personality. Like, how do you let go of the thing that has defined who you are? How do you stop being the eldest daughter? What happens when your parents die? How do you keep being eldest daughter? I mean, you have to maybe even reflect it back down onto your kids or like onto the other siblings. But I hear this middle daughter. I hear it.
Yeah, and the point that you just made about what happens when your parents die,
Yeah.
because my mom passed when I was so young, I actually think that the most I've ever had to step up and take care of things, or not think, I know, was when she passed. I was a sophomore in college.
Yeah.
Yale would not allow me to take off the semester to leave. Their policy at the time was you either take the full year or you can't go at all. They've since changed it, thankfully, for students now. But because of that, I was traveling from Connecticut to North Carolina to manage all of the affairs of wrapping up an estate while also wrapping up my sophomore spring semester. And so I had to step up, I had to do it. And that experience as well, and it being one of the first times where I had no choice, because also my sister was a minor. She was 17 when my mom
Ooh.
passed.
Yeah.
So I legally had to manage everything as the
Yep.
eldest daughter. That for me is part of why I would never make my daughter the eldest daughter. I feel pretty firm about only having her, and also setting up absolutely everything so that I'm not putting her in a position where there's no choice but for
Yep.
her to step into this role.
Yeah. How do you feel about only children who are eldest daughters? Like, is that, I don't think it's automatic. I think it can go either way. I've seen
I
it.
think it can go either way, which is why I feel, and I think there it comes down more to what the parents do to ensure that their child is protected. And that's why I feel really strongly about doing everything I can to keep her from having this syndrome or coming down with it. If she chooses to be hyper competent, that's great, but I'm not going to force that on her.
Yeah. Today's episode is brought to you by Beam Dream. This time around the holidays, I think a lot of people I know are having some trouble sleeping, which is kind of counterintuitive because longer nights, I spend more time just in bed generally. But I also, like, we've been having some crazy weather that wakes me up in the middle of the night. People are stressed about everything that they're planning, family, rich food. Like, I definitely had a meat hangover the other week just from eating large amounts of meat that I don't usually eat. There's just a lot going on. So this is a great time to make sure that your sleep is the best that it can be. That's why right now is the perfect time to reset and try Beam's Dream Powder. Dream is made with clean, science-backed ingredients like reishi, magnesium, and melatonin, formulated to help you fall asleep fast, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. No grogginess and no crash, just deep restorative rest. And the best part is that it actually tastes quite good. They just brought back the peppermint bark flavor, which is really good. Beam has already improved over 28 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Beam's Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/culture and use code CULTURE to take advantage of your exclusive offer for up to 40% off. So again, with the discount code CULTURE, you can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. So seriously, just think about it. How much would you pay for a truly great night of sleep? With the Culture Study discount, it's just $1.25 per night. So go to shopbeam.com/culture today. Today's episode is brought to you by ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. So the other day in the Culture Study chat, someone said, "What's the name of that thing from the podcast that you drink before drinking?" And I was like, ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink? So I think people are familiar with this. They've heard about it on Culture Study. They've heard about it on other podcasts. They've heard about it because friends are like, this thing actually worked for me. And I've tried it. Melody's tried it. Like a lot of the other hosts of other podcasts that I know have tried it. And it does work. What you do is you drink it before you start drinking. This is key. And then you drink responsibly. And then you don't feel like crap in the morning. Here's how it works. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's the buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. So pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. So again, just remember to take pre-alcohol as your first drink of the night, and drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next day. Right now is a perfect time for ZBiotics pre-alcohol. What a great stocking stuffer, depending on your family. Or, give as like a secret Santa thing. I think that would actually go over really well. So if you are still trying to figure out some sort of gift, or maybe just a gift to yourself or your partner or another loved one, this is a perfect one. Go to zbiotics.com/culture study to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Culture Study at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money at no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/culture study and use the code Culture Study at checkout for 15% off. There's one more question about the usefulness of the eldest daughter stereotype, and then we're going to pivot into some more advice type questions. So this question comes from Kelsey.
As my therapist can attest, I fit the eldest daughter stereotype to a T. I am an overachieving, guilt-ridden, people-pleasing perfectionist. I find the Eldest Daughter Discourse to be very affirming. It has given me terminology and a framework with which I can unpack learned, self-sacrificing behavior that I have struggled with since childhood. And as I move into the phase of life where I am expected to be a caregiver to children and my parents, it has forced me to reckon with the fact that our gendered societal structure needs eldest daughters to perform femininity in exactly the way we have been taught. What does a society without eldest daughters conforming to their prescribed role look like?
Ooh.
It falls apart.
I know, right? Right?
We know that.
We don't have a social safety net. We have women, right? But more specifically, we have daughters. And I think especially with elder care, that is what is keeping the system functioning in any sort of way. And the most dire situations that I have heard of are oftentimes people who are aging and do not have someone who, for whatever reason, can step up and take that eldest daughter role.
Yep. Oh, man, I really sympathize with this person.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was a tweet or some other meme recently. I have never had the plight of being a people pleaser, but for those who do, and I know many, the people are never pleased was the gist of the meme. So why are you doing this? Like, please release yourself of this
Yep.
burden.
Yep.
Because even if you still choose to do the exact same things, I think you'll feel a lot better if you're not expecting them to respect what you've done, appreciate what you've done, be
Yeah.
happy about what you've done,
Yeah.
because they won't be.
Yeah. I do think this, Kelsey, gives language to the usefulness of the concept, right? If this is a tool that can help someone understand why they act in ways that like aren't particularly great for them, like that's useful. And I think I understand people who think that it is a way to like broadcast your own suffering or that it's self-serving or that it's a way to continue to be martyred. But if it's also helping people to understand their own behavior, I think that's good.
Absolutely. I think even more, this term is specific and people should have specific terms. But what may help folks who connect to eldest daughter syndrome even more is really unpacking the parentification
Yeah.
that they experienced.
Yeah.
And just understanding that a lot of what happened in their childhood and the fact that they didn't get to really have a childhood because they experienced parentification is why they just feel so terrible.
Yeah. That's a whole
Yeah, it's depressing.
it's really hard. And I think sometimes people think that it only happens like parentification is something that happens like your mom dies and you have to take custody of your sibling. Like that is the most extreme, but that is not what parentification looks like in a whole bunch of people's lives. Like it just looks like having to take on a whole more load than you are capable of carrying.
Yep.
Okay, so two more questions. We have two more questions that are asking for advice. And one is about how to avoid passing this on to the next generation, which we've talked about a little bit. And then one is about coping with the grief of one's own experiences. So, this part of the show, which we call Ask N Anything, is just for paid subscribers. So, if you want these practical takeaways out of the Eldest Daughter Discourse, head over to patreon.com/Culture City and sign up. Before we go, I want to hear about the pack that you've started because I think this intersects with a lot of things that we're talking about now.
Helped with
Yes.
Niños and Neighbors. It's a pack here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that me and one of the groups of moms that I'm in started this past election to make sure that family issues are heard here at the municipal level because we live in a town, not unlike many others, where tourism is huge. And so over time, the focus of the mayor and the city council has shifted towards what the wealthy tourists from Texas primarily are interested in,
Yeah.
and not what the folks who live here year round with their kids and families need. And so we are trying to redirect that focus. And we did. The local paper dubbed it the family election. So we're going to keep that energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. We will put information links in the show notes for people to learn more about it because it's something that I think could be replicated across, like on local levels across the nation. It's really awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because we're here and we're mad about what's going on and we have the most direct power locally. And so I want more not that I want more moms doing work, but I want more moms being heard by their policymakers.
And this actually, to tie this all together, we recently published on the newsletter an interview about cognitive domestic labor and who carries the most of it, blah, blah, blah. And one of the points that the author made that I love, Allison Damager, she said that like we always talk about this on the individual level and like eldest daughters obviously carry a lot of the cognitive load in terms of what they're managing, but you can't just fix it on the individual level. Like the way to have less eldest daughter shit is to have a better social safety net, a better system of elder care, a better system of child care. Like just to have
Childcare,
systems that take care of us. If we had systems that take care of us, we would spend less time dealing with what happens when you consolidate all of that care on one person in your family. So
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing the work so that there's less work.
Yeah.
Ironically.
I love it. Look at me bringing everything together. This has been such a delight. Where can people find you on the internet if they want to hear more from you?
Please don't. That's where I am now. I've been found a little bit too much. I am on Instagram, but it's in this time it's closed. So
yeah, we can just have the link to the pack. That's good. This has been such a delight. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Culture Study Podcast. So just FYI, we'll be taking next week off from a regular episode, but Melody and I will be publishing a subscriber-only bonus episode all about our highlights from 2025. And this is not normal highlights. Like, this is not like, oh, best movie, best song, or whatever. We both came up with weird categories and are challenging the other person to figure out their faves in these weird categories. I'm not going to say what they are yet because it's kind of a surprise, but it's going to be weird and good. So if you want to support the show and get all of your bonus content, including that special episode, go to patreon.com/culturestudy. It's $5 a month or $50 a year, and you'll get ad-free episodes, an exclusive advice time segment every show, and weekly discussion threads for each episode. Also, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts because we have so many great episodes in the works, and I promise that you don't want to miss any of them. And if you want to suggest a topic or ask a question about the culture that surrounds you, or submit a question for our subscriber-only advice time segment, go to our Google form at tinyurl.com/culturestudypod, or check the show notes for a link. The Culture Study Podcast is produced by me, Anne Helen Peterson, and Melody Rowell. Our music is by Poddington Bear. You can find me on Instagram at Anne Helen Peterson, Melody at Melodious47, and the show at Culture Study Pod.